Last week, I told you groups are now building their plans to go after the autopen pardons President Biden's office staff made without his knowledge. The man every Democrat and one Republican, Senator Thom Tillis, blocked, Ed Martin, from being the U.S. District Attorney, is now the very man in charge of making these happen. Check this out.
We've never seen pardons of the scope, and it looks at least like something that you could be corrupt. When Bill Clinton pardoned Mark Rich, and turns out that Mark Rich had paid a boatload of money to one of Clinton's friends, lawyers, that's not corrupt. It's not criminal because the plenary power of the pardon. But in the case of Joe Biden and his pardons, they were so specific, back 14 years, covering everything you've ever done. And when I say specific, they were broad, but they had time stuff on them. It was and that at least leads to questions, because the plenary power is true, but the question is what was going on here? And I did get responses from some of them, and those things are ongoing.
So the very person that Democrats and Thom Tillis blocked may be the actual person who undoes those unjust pardons and brings justice to Liz Cheney, the J6 committee, Anthony Fauci, and Hunter Biden. President Donald Trump has dropped a truth bomb on why your prescriptions are sky high. He did this from Air Force One, and he's pointing the finger directly at politicians who have run for over 20 years on promises that they will bring down the cost of medicine for senior citizens. Trump stated, "It's the Democrats' fault we're being ripped off." Let me go ahead and show you the entire clip.
Democrats were making it impossible to lower drug prices. They knew what they were doing. And I instituted a most favored nations provision or concept where we're going to pay whatever the lowest country pays in the world. So if it's the UK, which pays very low, in any country, it could be any country, whatever the lowest price is. And the drug companies have accepted it. Everybody accepts it. But the Democrats never wanted to play ball. They never wanted to do anything. It's the Democrats' fault that people were being ripped off for years and years. And now I hear Democrats saying, oh, well, we're going to now go for the bill. It's going to be very hard for them not to approve the big, beautiful bill that we're doing. We're doing the biggest tax cuts in the history of our country. But the Democrats fought very hard to keep the prices of drugs very, very high. They really are to blame for this because they should have done something about it. And when the Republicans went with requests, they said, we're not going to approve it. And now we have a unified Republican Party. But I think the Democrats are going to approve this bill, too, because how are they going to reject a 60, 70, 80% drug cut?
All right. Well, you heard it from President Trump's mouth directly. They've been calling for this for decades. They've not done it. In some cases, your medicine became more expensive because of Democrats. But now, how stupid are they going to look in the midterms if they don't sign on to lower the cost of medicine for their voters? I mean, this is like, he got you. He got you good, right? I think it's so awesome. Think how much money this is going to save Medicare. Think how much money this is going to save Medicaid, the insurance companies, individuals, people like me that are self-employed. It's going to be huge. It's going to be such a blessing. They're going to have to cram this thing through. But so far, Ro Khanna is the only Democrat that's really signing on. Bernie Sanders, completely silent. What a loser. All right, President Trump isn't the only one making headlines. His daughter-in-law, Lara Trump, is calling out CNN's Jake Tapper and demanding a public apology. In a Fox interview, Lara Trump accused Tapper of helping cover up President Biden's mental decline before the 2024 election. Now, years ago, she pointed out that Biden looked like somebody who had cognitive decline or mental issues. Jake Tapper humiliated her on public television. He's now written a book called The Original Sin, where he lays out all of the different ways that the Biden family, the Biden administration, the White House, the staffers how they all worked in concert with the media to lie to the American people. Check this out.
Lara Trump is here. Lara, do you think Jake Tapper owes you an apology?
Well, you can see for yourself in that clip, it wasn't just enough for him to deny the cognitive decline that was obvious to everybody with eyes and ears in the United States of America and quite frankly around the world, Jesse. He had to go a step further. He had to shame me and insinuate in an astonishing insinuation that I was mocking someone with a stutter. Nobody knew Joe Biden even had a stutter, I don't believe. But that got me a lot of hate from a lot of people. Captain Sully went on to write an op-ed to shame me even further after that interview. So I'm expecting a full-throated public apology at any point. I'm holding my breath from Jake Tapper and maybe from Captain Sully as well. But this is the reason that the legacy media has lost the trust of the American people. Only about 25% of the country believes these people anymore and thinks they can actually trust them because there's only one of two options here. Either Jake Tapper is just about the worst journalist who's supposed to investigate and research and maybe was totally blind for about 5 years there, or he denied like they all did, tried to cover up what we all saw ourselves. And now that he can make a buck off of it, now all of a sudden he was duped by the White House. It's absolutely ridiculous, of course, Jesse.
Wow. Seeing that footage to the side of Lara Trump, I've almost forgotten how many times Biden got lost on stage, didn't know where he was going, didn't know what to say. Remember when he would say like quote, unquote, he would like read off the teleprompter, the wrong cue card. So embarrassing. I mean, it's absolutely elders abuse, what they were doing. But we're going to find out the truth. The truth is going to come out about how they hid all of this. And I, for one, am absolutely looking forward to it. All right. Department of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, she has been blasting the Democrats for being silent while our country was invaded by illegal immigrants. Over 20 million illegal immigrants, they now believe, came in, put themselves in Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, got hotels, food stamps, all kinds of goodie bags that the American people weren't getting. But she absolutely roasted Congressman Dan Goldman, a Trump-hating fool from New York. Check this out.
Mr. Abrego-Garcia, pursuant to this court order.
It's got to be extremely discouraging to be one of your constituents. To see you fight for a terrorist like this and not fight for them is extremely alarming to me.
I'm fighting for due process, and that's under the Constitution.
The gentleman's time has expired.
Due process.
The gentleman's time has expired. I now recognize.
That must be so discouraging to be one of your constituents, seeing you fight so hard for somebody who's been labeled a terrorist, a criminal illegal. And did you hear the audience gasped? Oh my gosh. These guys are so stupid. You get voted into office to take care of your voters, and this is what you do? Unbelievable. All right, now I have some big news from President Trump and his Middle East situation. But first, I want to tell you about today's video sponsor. Studies have been done to show that flavonols in cocoa stimulate stem cells to come out of your bone marrow like bees coming out of a beehive. And they go out and they find whatever part of your body needs to be repaired. If it's the heart, it goes there. If it's the liver, it goes there. Skin, brain, bones, whatever it is. But don't take my word for it. Listen to this Harvard scientist, Dr. William Lee.
To show that the flavonols in cocoa stimulate stem cells to come out of your bone marrow like bees in a beehive in your bloodstream, and they go out and they find wherever it needs to be repaired. If it's in your heart, they'll fix it. If it's in your liver, they'll fix it. If it's in your skin, they'll fix it. And so we can eat foods like high flavanol cocoa in order to be able to actually get the stem cells to work a little bit better. Now, how do we know this actually functions, works in people? Well, clinical studies have been done with high flavanol cocoa to show that in like men who are in their 60s with heart disease, they could actually eat just have 2 cups of dark chocolate hot cocoa a day for a month.
Yeah.
And they doubled the amount of stem cells in their bloodstream, and their circulation improved measurably. And then what's even more important and impressive is that there was a study called the Cosmos study that was completed recently that showed that eating high flavanol cocoa decreases the risk of cardiovascular death.
Yeah.
Right, over a period
like a statin.
Like a statin,
Right.
Exactly. Except made with by eating the same thing that you use to make chocolate.
That's
so
incredible.
we're not telling people to go out to have chocolate, which is a confection, which has got a lot of sugar and all kinds of other stuff in it.
Yeah.
But it's the stuff underlying
Underneath it, yeah.
the core of it.
All right, isn't that crazy? Dark chocolate, not milk chocolate, right? That's, not M&Ms, anything like that. But the flavonols are the good stuff found in the cocoa bean. And that's usually destroyed during the chocolate making process. That's why Black Forest Supplement made the first high flavanol cocoa powder. This right here is not just any old cocoa. This is to help bring the stem cells out and to repair your body. If you are experiencing significant aging, slow recovery, weak immunity, blame your lazy stem cells, but also wake them up. Cocoa flavanol activates them by naturally producing more stem cells. Your body is going to repair tissue, help you heal faster, glowing skin, immune support. Studies show that cocoa flavanol increased stem cell circulation by over 100%, and it's only 20 calories, packed with everything the body needs. Now, you can mix it into a shake, hot chocolate. Most people put it into their coffee. This boosts your natural stem cell production without spending a lot of money. I mean, just at the Golden Globes, they were handing out $40,000 stem cell facelifts. You don't have to go to those extremes. I use this myself. I'm a big believer in stem cells, and this is an affordable way to get your own body to do what you need in order to heal. Now, recently, I was able to score a really great deal for you guys. 40% off, but only for the next 48 hours. Check out the link in the video description below. Just go ahead and follow that. Use my code. Get that 40% off. I've been using this myself, and the results are amazing. That's why I wanted to let you guys know about it. Okay, let me tell you about Saudi Arabia, President Trump. I talked to you guys about this a little bit yesterday, but part of the deal was lifting U.S. sanctions on Syria, and they've been in place since 1979. The move comes just months after al-Sharaa took power in January, kicking al-Bashar out of the country. And he's aiming now to rebuild the country of Syria. President Trump said this decision was based on al-Shazar's promise to fight terrorism and push back against Iranian influence, despite previously being called a jihadist himself. Now, the sanctions put in place in 1979 because Syria was supporting terrorism. But at the request of Prince Mohammed bin Salman of Saudi Arabia, President Trump has lifted those, but he's going to be keeping an eye on Syria and wants them to meet certain parameters and goals of cleaning up the country and seeking diplomacy for Muslim nations in the region. Now, Democrats and some Republicans are saying this looks really bad. Trump meeting with somebody labeled a terrorist. But President Trump wants to give this new government a chance to improve the region and the life of the people. But again, he and the Secretary of State are going to be watching Syria closely. Moreover, the United States signed a massive $142 billion arms deal with Saudi Arabia in order to beef up their defense situation. President Trump said, in addition to the purchase of $142 billion of American-made military equipment by our great Saudi partners, the largest ever, there are also multi-billion-dollar investments in Amazon, Oracle, AMD, Uber, Qualcomm, Johnson & Johnson, and much more. Now, the deal included advanced weapons meant to boost Saudi Arabia's strength, as they are a nation that the United States depends on heavily to stay safe so that we can have affordable gas and oil. President Trump became the first president ever to visit Qatar. They rolled out the red carpet. They had hundreds of soldiers on camels and gave President Trump a king's welcome. While there, Qatar announced that they will be buying $200 billion worth of Boeing airplanes, the largest purchase in Boeing company history. How did Boeing respond? Other than saying, thank you, we'll get right to work. They said, we now need to hire American workers and get a lot of Americans trained so that we can build the very best airplanes ever. All right, now let me tell you what's going on with RFK Jr. He was on the Hill being grilled, and he was absolutely fighting back. The Democrats were being awful, saying he's doing a terrible job, that he's abusive to women, that he's going to get people killed with vaccines and the measles. And then they tried to attack him for removing the poison fluoride from the water system. Big Chemical sent in one of their dentists to try to blast him. See what happened here. Let's watch this together.
If you are successful in banning fluoride, I noticed you congratulated Utah and Florida, I think, for banning it. That's up to them. They can do what they want. But we better put a lot more money into dental education because we're going to need a whole lot more dentists.
I think that, Marty McCary's concern with ingestible fluoride is that the emerging science shows the benefits to fluoride to caries and to cavity prevention comes from topical exposures rather than it was once thought that it was systemic, that if you ingested it, that the benefit came from that. We now know that virtually all the benefit is from topical, and we can get that through mouthwashes, we can get through fluoridated toothpastes. The National Toxicity Program issued a report in August, a meta-review of all the science that now exists on fluoride, and showed a direct inverse correlation between fluoride exposure, dose-related, and lower IQ. It's an issue that we have to all be concerned with. We want high IQ kids.
Mr. Hoyer,
right now.
Mr. Hoyer.
I appreciate that. I look forward to working with you on it.
Okay.
Do you? Do you really look forward? Because you just tried to get a gotcha moment and he got you. Now listen, what they're saying is a very tiny amount of fluoride, maybe in toothpaste, might be good if it's put directly onto your teeth. But if you swallow it or you drink it, you consume it, you ingest it regularly, our own government released a report that it makes you stupid. That's why they're pulling it out. So you've got the dental administration, you've got Big Chemical, Big Pharma. They're all trying to bear down and humiliate RFK Jr. for trying to make us all healthier. And they did it again when they were attacking children. Check this out.
Look at our children. They're the sickest children in the world. Laura, you say that excuse me, Congressman DeLauro, you say that you've worked for 20 years on getting food dye out. Give me credit. I got it out in 100 days. All right, so let's work together and do something that we all believe in, which is have healthy kids in our country, for God's sake.
Ms. Vane.
That together. It's not, there's no such thing as Republican children and Democratic children. There's just kids.
All right, so give me credit. You guys have spent decades working on this problem to no avail. I got it done in 100 days, he says. And he's right. There's no such thing as a Democrat kid or a Republican kid. It's just American kids. And the data shows we have some of the sickest population of children in the entire world. It doesn't have to be that way. So he needs to just be allowed to get to work. Okay, now back to Iran. Iran has proposed a return to the same terms that they accepted in 2015, offering to temporarily limit the uranium enrichment if the United States will lift sanctions. The offer comes after President Trump weighs whether to reopen talks with Tehran. Now, remember, he made them an offer in Saudi Arabia. He said, you can have peace or we can bury you in rubble. I think this is them saying, hey, let's go back to what was working and figure out a relationship going forward. However, the Trump administration is pushing for a tougher, more lasting agreement. This offer comes as the recent U.S.-Iran talks in Oman as both nations seek to de-escalate tension and prevent Iran from pursuing nuclear weapons. Just today in Qatar, President Trump once again said, "I don't care what we have to do, Iran will never have a nuclear weapon." All right, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has cautioned Republicans from arresting Democrats like Newark Mayor Ras Baraka and others detained at an ICE facility for protesting and physically assaulting DHS and ICE agents. The arrests occurred amid Trump's aggressive immigration crackdown using the 1789 Alien Enemies Act. Well, now some of these people are arrested and potentially going to jail. There's new evidence out that Ras Baraka, the mayor, and Congresswoman LaMonica McIver pushed and hit and shoved DHS and ICE agents. It's all captured on camera. But now they are going on the mainstream media saying that they were the ones that were attacked. They are the ones that are harassed. Isn't it amazing how often Democrat leaders lie in order to stay in power and to stay out of jail? All right, that's my update for today. Let me know what you guys think about what Trump is doing in the Middle East. How about Kristi Noem's roasting Goldman? Why are you guys so obsessed with terrorists? I would be embarrassed if I was one of your constituents. And then the gasp. So amazing. All right, I love you guys. Stay amazing, and I'll see you on the next video.